Hello, everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Weekend Frivolity. This is the Broiler Chicken Show. And I gotta be able to. I think I gotta record this. So anybody who's doing the sound bites, we had we had one funny little exercise. And I gotta be able to. Looks like YouTube's running, so that's good. Fun little exercise on the week doing yoo-hoo or yahoo moves on RSIs. And somebody grabbed that soundbite. So I think we got to do like an official soundbite. So somebody record this. Let's see. Me. Here we go. Bark, 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 bark. That would be great if somebody sent me that link. Anyway, welcome back to the Frivolity. Always a fun experience here at TRI. Lively chat room this morning. Holy moly, we have a whole bunch of new people, of course. We got a new level 1 school term starting up here shortly. So a whole bunch of new people on the site, all getting settled in and introducing themselves. So lively activity in the lounge. Of course, what a lot of you on YouTube are probably waiting for and anticipating and hotly excited about. We have our big raffle for a seat in our level 1 program coming up. The formal registration introduction is this week. So I do know that there's been quite a bit of interest expressed in the raffle and securing a seat in the level 1 program. So I think at the top of the program, and these rants go on for about an hour and a half. So let's say give Brian a full hour to bitch and complain about Bitcoin price manipulation and pre-halvening pumps and all that kind of fun stuff, and then we'll finish off the program today with a nice little raffle. And those people that have watched we used to do a show with Coinigy way back when. Actually, on the site in the library, I think we still have all the links to the old Coinigy shows. So, if you do use Coinigy, this is a great resource, and we were doing tons and tons of shows with them back in the past. So actually, it's really cool if these videos are still available. I'm not sure if they are or not. But there's our school. Hey, remember when we used to have that icon way back when? Anyway, we used to do videos with these guys, and on a weekly basis, we used to have people submit their coins that they wanted us to look at. And so we've done basically the same kind of thing here. My right-hand man and absolutely stand-up solid dude, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin, the Kavarkinator himself, has actually put all this together for you. And you can see everybody's names who submitted for the raffles on the wheel. He's just sort of getting the finishing touches on that. So at the top of the program, heading us into the end, we will do that fun draw raffle. Super exciting. It's kind of interesting. I took a week off from the market, and it was really nice to disconnect and all that kind of fun stuff. And I kind of felt like it was sort of an okay window to take some time off, because we sort of had the wind at our backs, and price was, of course, moving higher and stuff. So, no real worry about, face plants and stuff. I guess this was our last show that we did with you guys. That was coming back from my break. And we're back. Charts and hearts. I love that. And actually, I was quite pleased. Of course, at the end of bull runs, this is exactly what should happen, is all of the little poppers start popping. And really, for those people that understand sort of basic seasonality of the markets, buy when it snows, sell when it goes, that kind of thing, this is actually pretty much business as usual. So, we used to like to call it, technically you could argue that stock traders, especially those people that play the very normal seasonal nature of the stock market, we go and plant our seeds in the time when it snows, which of course is counterintuitive, but nonetheless, bear with me here. And then as the spring develops, and April showers bring May flowers, that kind of thing, our crops grow. And really, what we're doing here is we're just coming in and you could call it the spring harvest. And so it really shouldn't surprise that you get a whole bunch of little poppers here, both in crypto, as you saw in that HUD, and also, of course, Bitcoin's enjoying a nice seasonal rally, but also to a lot of little stocks that actually ended up bottoming there through the sort of crisis, if you will, with regard to the COVID virus. I don't think it should surprise that we have a generally uppy market into May. That's actually what usually happens in the market. And actually it was interesting, coming back and sort of, through this past weekend, getting ready for the school term. Obviously, I've ramped up quite a bit of sort of my analysis. And of course, I came back and it was pretty obvious in my eyes that we were coming into some sort of not a catalytic event, if you will. There's an old expression in the market: buy the rumor, sell the news. And I remember last cycle we had things like U.S. Marshal Office is auctioning off of Bitcoin, seized Bitcoins from Silk Road. That was a classic buy the rumor, sell the news scenario. The previous halvening back, 2016, 2015? I can't remember. For some reason, I'm getting those dates mixed up. I think it's 2016, but if I say 2016, everybody in unison go, wrong. Or go, no, you're right, it was 2016. But for some reason, I've got this funny mind block. I think it's because I actually think, the price action, when I look at the past 10 years and what does May typically look like, on balance, you can see, spring is generally a pretty friendly time for Bitcoin. There were a couple scenarios like 2018, which was sort of the end of a very long sort of clean out of the space after a huge, huge bull run. Also, 2015 didn't really treat the market very well there. And then back in 2013, I think, May, June was really just a following reaction after this huge, massive face rip up into like March, April. So, are we in kind of like these kind of face rip, oh my God, market's breaking to new highs, away we go? I don't think so. So I think I have to discount things like 2011 and 2017, and also probably 2019 kind of thinking. You can clearly see we've enjoyed a pretty nice rally here. I mean, no doubt about it. So I don't think it looks like 2014 where actually we were sort of trending down into that. I wonder about 2015 because there was a little bit of a rally here. Is that similar to this? I don't know. This one sort of got my attention because I kind of like this idea that we pumped up into the halvening. Then we go through some consolidation, just come back down. My hunch is, I remember we did lots of sort of videos on the daily brief recaps talking about these two railroad track lows there side by side. That to me feels like a base that somebody sort of established. And then you can sort of see they did it to a certain degree here. But I sure do like that as a base. And interesting how that's, around $6,000. If we think about that in sort of the pre-halvening, post-halvening kind of world, this $5,000-$6,000 is in the old numbers it's like $2,500 to $3,000, which we did lots of studies showing you lots of charts over the months and years that was pretty much where a lot of people in the space kind of figured that was sort of base cost of production, and we bottomed around $2,000-$3,000 last go round. So I really do like, and I've been sort of, as I said, I've been sort of ramping up a little bit of rhetoric with people online. I think probably the one thing that really jumped out at me, these studies that I did recently, was this one. I couldn't believe when I actually look back at last year's bull run, the remarkable sort of time windows of rallies and troughs and the replication of a lot of those similar patterns. Like this peak went to this trough, which was 32 bars. Well, this peak went to just about this peak. Actually, I beg your pardon. This peak went to this peak. Sorry. That peak to that peak, 32 bars. I thought it was interesting. This peak to this peak, 32 bars. I mean, maybe I've been playing this game so long I start to read into these kind of things, but I just saw so many similarities. I thought this one, 12, that peak to that peak. This one was 14, but basically that peak to that peak. There's just so many things. And remember, this peak to this ultimate trough was 52 bars. Gee whiz, this peak, do we hit an ultimate trough here? And when I did put this out, there's one guy that I respect online. He's like, "Whoa, you calling for like what, $170 on Bitcoin for here?" And I'm like, no. With regard to this tweet and this study, if you look at it, all I was doing was just looking at all these funny little similar time windows, like this peak to this ultimate trough here, 29 bars, right? And so this peak, I'm wondering, do we have to hit some sort of ultimate trough here by the end of this one? I don't know. I just found it fascinating. And then I thought it was really interesting. Recently, I hear lots of people talking about 8 straight weeks up. Wow, what a market. This is such a bull. And then I actually looked at this and went, well, actually, yeah, you're right. I mean, 8 straight green candles, totally rock and roll. But it's interesting, if you drew off of this low up to this high, gee whiz, that's 8 candles. And so what happened following that? And this is an interesting sort of commentary of W.D. Gann. Because W.D. Gann would just simply say, look at, if you have 8 bars going in one direction, let's see if anybody's watching on YouTube or in the lounge. If Mr. Gann had his way, you had 8 bars in one direction. How many bars should you have in the other direction? it's like W.D. Gann 101. And if you don't know this and you're like, why am I watching this stupid channel, Brian? I want to learn something? You ought to write this down. It's good to see you guys in the lounge, of course, are getting this. Good. Nobody on YouTube? Mind you, it takes a minute or two for YouTube to kick in here. So, hey, there you go, Butu. Nicely. Hey, Kovex. Good. Excellent. So, the irony of all of this is if we had 4 down bars here following this 8 up, well, that just so happened would coincide sort of nicely with this window, which would kind of correspond with this window. And then remember, Brian and his crazy celestial crap. It turns out, and I don't know whether I still have that. Yep, like this chart. I mean, I don't know if we look like this. Who knows? But, Jupiter, Saturn cross, and crypto seems to bottom about 20-some bars ahead of that. I mean, gee whiz. I'm looking for some sort of action into here. I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out. But I do like the idea that we're going to form some sort of significant pivot here, or sort of June, July-ish. I mean, I don't know if it goes this cadence. This was my crazy... this is an interesting conversation unto itself. Because, and, the problem here, guys, FYI for all you guys on YouTube... This might seem very scatterbrainy because, holy crap, I've been, seeing a ton of charts, doing so many studies. I've got about 30 different thoughts all running through my head right now. I mean, there's just so many things to talk to you guys about. So I might be like jumping all over the place. I mean, one study that I put a tweet out here this morning, and this is exactly what you don't want to see if you're a bull, is We've got the spreads. These are all sort of the sentiment within the forwards industry on a sites like OKCoin. The spreads are actually all dipping into backwardization and actually making very nasty looking structural failure signals here. And then, on the flip side, you've got W's in Tether, i.e. people are running out of Bitcoin and into Tether. And that's exactly what you don't want to see if you're a bull. You want to see the exact opposite. We want to see M's in Tether and W's in spreads. So, oh boy, I put a tweet out to that effect. And somebody even asked me this morning, Brian, is this a W in Bitcoin? And I went, no. The market is clearly smiling at us. That's an M. And until this thing does start looking like this again, you got to cool your jets if you're a bull. I mean, you really do. I do understand, and like I said, they were scatterbrained all over the place here. I do fully understand there are lower time frame players, and actually you can see how I've drawn reload zones here. What a coincidence. We're getting railroad tracks here right through a mountain man level. You can see I was drawing 38.2s and wondering how price is going to act off the lower time frames. I don't know whether really it's in your guys' best interest to even have those kind of lower time frame conversations with you guys, because the problem here is that we're doing some serious technical damage off the higher time frames, and lower time frame people, they've already had their trading plans all nice and tickety boo. And we could get into some pretty wild action all over the place that could really punish noob, sort of novice investors in this space. We've got a big fundamental event window coming up here, probably. And, what I found fascinating, again, this is absolutely incredible because, like you can see, like first thing out of the gate Sunday morning or Saturday yesterday, I was all like tweet. I was all jazzed, working really hard, doing all this kind of stuff. And then I pulled up the Bitcoin chart and I was like, oh, Jesus, this looks horrible. And the interesting thing is we have one site member, Kevin, we even showed you guys this the other day on the long side. Kevin absolutely loves his 88.6s, and we got a big old smack up against 88.6. I thought it was really interesting. I've had long conversations with you guys in the public about volume impetus, so you should see that the bulls are losing steam here. Willie is officially stupid. I built this indicator specifically for this job. When Willie is stupid, don't be a buyer. You're just asking for trouble. I mean, the inside bar signal fires, and what was fascinating about this, of course, is when I put posts out like this, what do you think? Do you think the crypto community goes, oh, yeah, right, Brian, right on? Or they go, oh, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, Bitcoin's never going down again. I mean, this is half the reason why my prop firm buddies, and actually it's really cool, a lot of people on the site now are migrating over to Top Step. I'm really proud of all you guys. You can see it in Hoag's eyes. You guys are making money for Top Step. And you can literally see it in Hoag's eyes when he's like, thanks, Brian. When I come in and say hi, you can see it. So you guys are totally making money for Nebraska and Hoag. I'm sure they're loving you guys right now. Anyway, when I was over at that prop firm and I was like, I'm going to go to crypto space and I'm going to try and teach these people how to act responsibly. And people are like, you're an idiot, Brian. Shut up. Get this God complex off your shoulders. Just get back to trading. Anyway, this is exactly what they warned me about, because when I put this message out, I got a lot of negative feedback from this. It didn't really age well. But the irony of it all is I came back just a few hours later, and actually I was pretty surprised how quickly the dump came in. So if anything, guys, this is a really excellent testament to the power of inside bars. I hope you guys, even on YouTube, if you don't have something, write it down. We had a period, this was, and I remember talking to you guys, B2, you watch these programs religiously. I think BMX, you too as well, eh? Do you guys remember when we talked about this inverted empire and the buy signal off this candle pattern right there? And the irony of it all is that this market never produced another bearish candle pattern the whole way up here. It just kept no bearish patterns, no bearish patterns, no bearish patterns, and then all of a sudden, boom, inside bar. Yeah, good, Bitu. So you are learning this. Good. So, such a great, I mean, geez, if you want to learn something, man, inside bars, it of course is a core component in our candlestick teaching package. But, you know, if you are thinking, well, that Beamish guy, he likes me to be hunting trade location. I got 88.6. I'm actually right up against previous highs. Julian loves this kind of idea where he can try and literally get in right off of previous highs, and then he has a very tight risk window. Excellent stuff. Love it. Then you look over at your candlestick pattern. This is like market structure. I mean, hell, you got this trend line that we brushed up against, just couldn't get up against, and we get this nice inside bar failure. And then if you actually look at the lower time frame charts, there was lots of ME type action. I was showing on the Friday's video on the site, we had a Gartley pattern setting up on the casino. So you can't argue there weren't setups there. It's just, you know what I actually found most interesting about this was on, you know, and it was sort of this kind of talk, which really, really bothered me. And I publicly said this in the videos on Friday. Was, and actually I didn't really tweet it out until the weekend because I was just so disturbed by this, was I actually could palatably feel everybody getting sucked into the moon Bitcoin bullshit. I could feel it. And then, you know, everybody watching this channel, I mean, there's like hundreds of you. Maybe we can get into the thousands. You have to learn that when you hear guys like this getting rah-rah bullish of a story, you have to ask, what is his agenda? He is not going to come out and publicly talk about a bullish story with a chart that looks, and say that he's buying with a chart that looks like this. I'm sorry. You have to look at this and you have to say, now, why on earth would he come out and be all rah-rah bullish here? That doesn't make sense. That, you know, the tweet that I put out was, you know, you want to know what the problem of capitalism is? It's this. Because they did exactly the same thing in January. And I went on and on and on about the options expiry and how they basically shilled the public. They shilled the public to buy tons and tons and tons of stock, and then mysteriously we have this correction, you know, catastrophe, crisis. It stinks like yesterday's cheese, people. You know, so the graphic that, and I actually took the timestamp of when that news release was published, was basically right into here. And this was the entire retail session for Friday. And I hate to say it, but I think it was a trap. And now, unfortunately, those good people that all bought here, they're trapped now. The irony of it all is now, as they rally the market back up here, you should all look at this and go, well, gee whiz, I can see where the M was, so they're probably going to want to short somewhere there. I can draw a downtrend line, so I could probably draw a line that's probably going to suggest somewhere up in here. And gee whiz, if we do a fib from these lows back up to the highs, what do you think the odds are? The reload short zone is going to be somewhere up in here. I mean, this stuff writes itself after a while. It's almost a little bit shocking. But it you know, the worst part about this, right, is that, you know, if they can engineer a counter trend rally here, you know, keep in mind the CME futures, they're going to gap lower. And we know that gaps are awesome trade location. And when they fill the gap in down the road, the public that bought up here, they're going to be like, oh, fuck, just get me out. Thank you. Just get me out. Get me out. And, of course, the pros are going to be using that liquidity to just simply get short again. Oh, it drives you crazy. It's so cliche. It's ridiculous. But I think, you know, the public, let's see. I just want to review because I know there are some really important messages here. Oh, yeah, this is This was this sort of tweet chart that I put out earlier. Now, the irony of it all is when I put that tweet out originally first thing Saturday morning, this was a green honking candle. And when I put this study out, people were like, there's no way Bitcoin's ever going back down to $5,000. Well, never say never in this game, that's for sure. What I actually really like here, believe it or not, is I like the fact that cost of production now, like we said, last year somewhere down in this area. Now, basically we're going to go through the halvening. They've bid the market up, and of course the public here is long up top. Thank you, Mr. Tudor Jones. Way to go. And, what does it usually take to break their hearts? Usually it takes about a 50% drop. You guys remember Remember this summer I was touring through Europe through here, and everybody just sort of got really comfortable that Bitcoin was $5,000-6,000. That's cool. We could live with that. And all of a sudden, what do? Bang! $3,000. In essence, cut it in half. So to me, actually, I like the idea that they've brought it up into this area, 10 Gs, right? Did they actually hit that? Good. So they've got the permission, and my hunch is probably like an M or something, maybe some sort of candle pattern that sort of looks like this, or an inside bar that looks like this. I don't know whether it's going to be straight down and then up. It could be, but, probably something over here. That gives them the green light to knock it in half. Oh my God, no, 50%, Bitcoin fell by 50%. Right, and of course the public, and MSNBC, all those guys are going to be like, Bitcoin losers, you're down 50%, you suck, right? But, it's all just a big, scam, the way that they manipulate the public. And, of course, down sort of 5,000-6,000, that's sort of now, after halvening, that's, that old 2,500-3,000 number. Actually, the scenario, it resonates very well with me. The only question I ultimately have here is, does Bitcoin actually even get down there now? I don't know. That's going to be a real tough one. This market has now built a lot, in my opinion, a lot of support, especially off of this old low here. I think it's built a lot of support off of this level here. Probably if we look at those that lower time frame chart, I think you're going to see sort of railroad track lows. We're all in this area here. There's an interesting tail right in there. And what I'm kind of thinking here, if we're really lucky, and as I said, below $5,000-6,000, I think you can actually make the argument value, believe it or not. And I'm kind of thinking, I don't know if I've got this right or not. But this is what I'm sort of thinking here. Not sure if the shoulder goes there or not. But something along these lines. And I put out a few sort of messages to this effect. And again, I just don't know. Maybe the shoulder's there. And actually, I was thinking about this. We have, and I don't know, David, if you're around, I would love for you to pop on the call. A few years ago, we had a raffle just like we're going to have here today for a level 1 seat, and David O ended up winning the raffle. And it's great working with David. Again, some people like my setups, the bot, the L-Tangonator. Other people are like, well, I have to sort of figure out what works with me. I love your setups, Brian, but they're just not my setups. And it turns out that David absolutely fell in love with head and shoulders patterns. And more importantly, hunting trade setups right through this window here of the right-hand side of the head and shoulders. So he would ideally like to see this right shoulder hold these left shoulder lows, give him a nice pivot in here, inside bar, fractal, double bottom, whatever you want to call it, triangle, and then he's going to try and sneak in long here, playing that head and shoulders move higher. And when I looked at this chart, I thought that had him written all over it. And that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I wonder if we really do have too many sort of bullish catalysts for Bitcoin following this halvening event. I don't know. That's a tough one. And of course, I'm from Missouri. when I paint a formation like this, the only time that actually I'm even the slightest bit interested is if we actually get down into here and we start looking down at our indicators and they're in divergence, we start seeing structure, and then we're like, okay, rock and roll. So this is like looking out months down the road here. Total conjecture, kind of like looking up at the sky and seeing, formations in the clouds and just kind of saying, what if? So that's sort of what I'm thinking right now. As for the short term, as I'd sort of painted on this, to be perfectly honest with you, I would not be surprised to see that we have to go through 4 down weeks here. That would not surprise me at all. I have no idea how this is going to play out, how deep we go. But my hunch is, for whatever it's worth, I went and looked at the last halving event on Bitcoin, and people have been following along the free videos that I do, Broiler Chicken's daily brief recaps and stuff. I've been talking about this for quite a bit. This was the old halving back. It is 2016. And sort of what did the market action look like heading into that event? I don't know whether this was real. I don't seem to remember these tails, but I think generally price action looked like this. Anyway, point of the matter here is we actually topped out well ahead of the event, and in previous Litecoin halvings, I've seen that happen too. So I was actually thinking that the pump was actually going to exhaust itself well ahead of the event, but in this case, and like they say, history never repeats itself exactly, but it often rhymes. In this case, it turns out that we were a heck of a lot closer to the actual halving event. But as you can see, we've clearly broken here. The problem that I have right now is I don't necessarily believe that the trend is down. As I showed you this previous halving price action, I don't think the trend actually rolled over until we actually did our very normal reload zone counter trend rallies, and then we actually started to show signs of failure in here. And then this, if I was going to have a short trade, somewhere in here would actually be my short. Now, the cool part about this one was that actually it did top out and presented a rather polite M, and the market was in divergence. So this was actually an extremely tradable setup. Unfortunately, with this go-round, I don't think the market actually really set this up very well. I mean, some really slick traders off the lower time frames were given some windows, like I showed you, inside bar reversals, 4-hour failures, that kind of thing. But wow, I mean, that was just straight down. So I don't, and the interesting thing, they often say that, you can see like how this is a nice rolling top here. And that's actually how they define a bear market is, how well defined is the bearish structure. And ironically enough, kind of like what you saw here, V top, straight up, straight down. Well, ironically enough, you can actually see new highs. So here's the kick in the pants about this, is that this was clearly a V top, straight up, straight down. I think, all those guys, 88.6s inside bars, maybe even, thinking about things like, I don't know. Actually, it'd be really interesting to see whether we had any harmonic traders on the site that had harmonic set up here. I bet you Raf was like looking at crabs and stuff here. But, just on balance, what's sort of an initial objective on a move like this? Well, it's 38.2. So, believe it or not, I actually think that we could very easily press down here. What does that say? 7,700 here? No problem. And what I'm actually looking for, if this is actually top, this was the previous halving event cycle. The big run up, the break, the halving actually was in here, but notice the counter trend rally to mountain man levels, then the top, then the dump. So, and I even put tweets out to this effect that, well, ironically enough, for a guy like me, this move here now fires off things like divergences. Well, we want to. I don't know whether I want to talk to you guys about Ethereum, because Ethereum looks to me much, much further along and much, much weaker I think the trade is actually already fired on Ethereum, but I don't think the trade is actually fired on Bitcoin just yet. But I don't know whether you can see this or not, or if it's too messy. Oh goodness, these charts are looking a mess. So I'm a big fan of MACD histogram to sort of give me a raw momentum push idea, and you can clearly see here we already had this potential divergence. This push recently to new highs was not to new highs in MACD. And then this is what I actually like to call a double divergence, or double Ds. And, you know, Brian, I mean, oh man, I love double Ds. So, you know, we're at a very interesting point right here. You know, a lot of sort of higher time frame players, sort of more conservative, would say this big honkin' divergence doesn't confirm until we break through this zero line here. We might just be able to hold in here, and just this single divergence here is working. But any way you shake it, what I just simply said in my public messages was, you know, I could see a counter trend rally here, but considering all the ME type action here, counter trend rallies got to, in my opinion, got to be viewed as setting up short trade setups. So, you know, what I'm sort of thinking, you can see how big the dump is, you can see the divergences, but interestingly enough, you know, off of things like RSI, again, we don't really get any M's here yet. Let's see, which one do I want to show you? Yeah, here's the RSI study. So here's another analogy that I don't know whether we've actually topped out yet or not, or whether this is just a nice little FU. And keep in mind, Bitcoin loves them FUs. So, you know, those people that have followed along my funny little sort of analogy of trend in RSI and where are we, when we started Wing out up top here and RSI was overbought, this is what I actually affectionately like to call the woohoo move, because usually, and I even challenged everybody on YouTube, go and look back in the past and what happens. Usually there's a big woohoo, which is basically what that was. And you never know how high these damn things go. Turns out she stalled here at 88.6 off of this original top. And then there's sort of like a big, almost like, well, this is like, think of this as almost like it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, somebody's already called the cops. Maybe the cops have left. You can definitely tell the party peaked a couple hours ago, but there's a couple guys still doing the beer bong in the basement that are just like, no way, man, this night's never going to end. We got to keep it going. You know, that kind of thing. And then usually, you know, maybe they did crystal meth. Who fucking knows? But usually they just crash hard. So think of that. That's basically that scenario. And if you think of that sort of like that third line, you know, again, try and learn this stuff. Oh, you like that one, B2? I think you're the only one listening to me right now. So, and nobody else reacted, or they thought, oh, that was a terrible one. Anyway. Think of that, you know, that third line as, you know, and especially the fact that we're overbought, right? Think of this as, you know, this is dangerous, 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 dangerous. And that's usually what happens in dangerous. If I look at this chart just from a simple price action perspective, you know, clearly this little chaos level has been taken off the books by them running that out there. So that's gone. What do I have on here? There's a 50% roll. So actually, you know what I probably should do, like we said, is what's a 38.2 right now? Because that's usually where markets like to sort of stall. So 76.80 here would be sort of our first stop target. And interesting enough, too, if we think look left, they've cleaned out this, they cleaned out this. How deep did they take this? Really, we should expect them to come back down and just check that low right there. Eh? That's the last time that the bull actually said, no, you don't go down, you go up. Right? So they ran these stops. And actually, I seem to remember we had like bullish bot setups working, and some people had bots on MEX working, and we sort of hit stop to trailing levels. Where the hell's that one? Is it over here? It might be. Nope, that's Graham. Where is that? Because that was actually a really cool illustration. Oh, what did I do with it? It's around here somewhere. Give me a second. Maybe it's over here. Nope, that's those guys. Where are you, bullish bots? What's that? Coinbase? Nope. Ah, fudge. What do we got here? Oh, looks like I got rid of it. I thought it was over here. Maybe it's on this one. Let's see what we got here. Huh. Yeah, it looks like I've already redrawn them all. Well, actually this one. Yeah, here we go. This one's fine. So here, this is such a good analogy of a trader's life. This is so good, so good. Please learn this, people. Because if anything, this is an absolutely perfect analogy that a trader has to be completely emotionless about their trading. Not be, and like I think I had said earlier with that Paul Tudor Jones shit, what I noticed was everybody was getting emotionally attached to the long side. And when I started putting out those sort of cautionary notes, the comments back were like, no, you're wrong. No, that can't happen. No. So to me, that almost felt like, holy shit, the market feels incredibly long. And remember, the market's job is always to inflict the most pain on the most amount of people as much of the time as possible. That's the market's job. So actually, I was sort of feeling, through late last week, everybody was like Bitcoin averaging, rah, rah, rah. Everybody was long. Here comes the fucking the talking heads and the guys that that they're going to tell you the exact wrong thing to do. They're coming in on the buy side. And then also, too, when we were over in the stock market, here's the crypto page. All the crypto piece of shit stocks are all starting to take off here. Brian's on the sell side in there selling, which I'm kind of thankful now because I wonder what the hell this shit's going to look like Monday morning. But it just felt like it was just an orgy of long. Everybody was long. Get long. Bitcoin's going to the moon. This is it. So here's a setup, and we sort of walked you through this, and we even talked about this with Colin on the site on Friday. It'd be really interesting to see whether he was too emotionally attached to this trade. So, this setup said get long from 89 and change. Move your stop to scratch at 94. At 98, start trailing stops. Oh, yeah, that RBZ. That was a wonderful treat, wasn't it? People will always remind me of my losers. Thank you. What was really interesting about the stock market, not to get off topic here, but this was really interesting. This was Friday's price action on the Bitcoin fund on the Toronto Stock Exchange. What the fuck? Everything was moving up. Why was this moving down? And I hate to tell everybody, I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble, but I got a funny feeling the higher ups, the 1%, they knew what was going to happen this weekend. Why did this finish down on the day on Friday? Something stinks. So it might be worth your while to keep track of this thing. Fascinating, eh? Anyway, tinfoil hats, conspiracy theory. All right, so back to corn. So our setup here, we've stopped at trailing. Now at this point, right, you're thinking, okay, give me that 10.5. I'm gonna get all these Twitter followers. I'm going to be able to say 3 to 1 risk reward. I'm the man. Look at all the likes I'm going to get on my videos. Hey, somebody even downvoted me. What did I say here so far today to get a downvote? I don't even know what the hell I said. Must have been something about those bankers. There must be bankers watching. We just got to make sure he gets at least one downvote. Oh, well. So how emotionally are you attached to trading? In this particular case, we have this idea that we like to follow 3 high-low method to trail stops. But I would just simply say, as soon as you start seeing the market smiling at you, you're probably best just to get the hell out of there. And here's a great example where, if you just had really, really tight stops on this pullback here, right there, you would have been stopped out. Market actually goes and M's out, and okay, fine, fuck it, okay, fine. Yeah, I know I moved my stop to scratch. to trailing. I'm only going to get like maybe a 1.25 risk reward. I want those Twitter followers. Oh, but my system says I got to go out and say I'm just going to walk away at a small profit. And holy shit, did that ever save your ass. I think if anything, this is a perfect analogy of, when you're a professional trader, you have no emotion. And if your setup tells you to act, you better fucking act. And if it's a small profit, so be it. If it's a loss, well, so be it. I mean, shit happens. And if your setup is properly vetted, then actually, ironically enough, you actually expect some setups to fail. That should happen. But in this case, this is a setup where you should have made money. And if you didn't make money, and if you actually got stopped out at a loss, well, that's really more behavioral issues, and really nothing to do with the setup. So a really good analogy of a trader's life here. And what does sort of a mediocre trade win? This trade win ideally was looking for 3 to 1. That's basically what the bot generates. So there's the 3 to 1. At the end of this, maybe you got stopped out, I don't know, somewhere around there. Let's give you a shitty fill. Say down in there. 1.41 to 1. But looking back in hindsight, it was probably best just to take that money and get the hell out. So that's one reason why I really like using this bot and having the move stop to trailing levels. Because, sometimes it just pays to not get greedy. Just take your profits and hit the road. Anyway. All right. So what else do we want to talk about here today? What time is it? About 11:09. Sort of give you an expectation what I'm thinking going forward. I don't know whether this is actually the bottom. It does seem like a bit of an odd level. Just floating out here in space for the bottom to come in. Keep in mind, we got Monday coming up here. Keep clearly the CME is going to gap lower. Probably going to get some sort of knee-jerk push to the downside. You never know in this game. But that would be my hunch as, guys through the weekend were thinking, hey, this is the bottom, so I'm just going to put my stop just below there. So be prepared, especially with 38.2 sitting well below us here. There's still some wiggle room down in here. And like I said, where did somebody say, no, down, you go up? Well, last time that happened through this range was off all of these kilos in here. And let's call a spade a spade. If they really want to rip this thing back down into firm bottoms, well, we're really talking about that low right there, those lows there. There is that last nice actual W. And then, if we really start falling apart here, which I don't think so, especially ahead of the halving event, what I think has to happen is the halving event has to happen. Then there almost has to be sort of like a lull, kind of like this. Not really much is happening. Everybody just assumes Bitcoin's going to be like $9,000. And then the 50% reduction comes in. Bang, 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 bang. Everybody loves a bang, 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 bang. I could make a terrible comment there, but I will refrain. So, interesting to see how 61.8 comes down in at about 5,100 and change. 78.6. I don't know whether I said that wrong or not. 61.8, 6,200. To be perfectly honest with you, that's not a bad level for little old ladies and stuff to start thinking about value. I even put a message out. I wouldn't be surprised because these kinds of, these traders are kind of cocksuckers. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some more FUs coming down the pike here through the year. I certainly don't think it's going to go into a nice, calm, happy-go-lucky kind of market state. If anything, I'm actually quite pleased the fact that they were able to take it as high as they were, because that sort of A, B, C, D kind of thinking. Now, if the shit really hits the fan, I think we just simply wash this lows from back in March there. And if we're really lucky, I think these lows hold in here. It's going to be a horse race, though. You can see if the shit really hits the fan here, how deep do they want to take this? I don't. I won't be surprised, let's put it that way, if we get some big honking fuck you candle just like this that takes us ultimately down into this. If we're lucky and it's nice and polite and it's happy-go-lucky, then I actually like the idea of a nice consolidation here through celestial events. Keep in mind, the broader market, they're not going to be happy. Oh God, this world we're living in. I mean, first and foremost, I thought this was shocking. Somebody's saying this is all political, but oh my God. How much confidence can you have in? The president's like, okay, we're opening up. It's business as usual. And all of his medical professions all in unison all go into lockdown. That can't instill a lot of confidence in people. I don't know if there's agendas and all that kind of shit. And I do know that some people replying to these kind of tweets are like, this is it's all bullshit and propaganda. The way that I look at this is, like we said, how are you supposed to tell if a politician's lying? Anybody on YouTube know the answer to that? It's pretty easy. Get used to it. 50 years on this planet, it's never changed. Always the same fucking thing. No? You guys, nobody knows the answer? How about you guys here? You've been talking for 50 minutes. Should I shut the hell up now? All right. Well, maybe we should wind this up. Anyway, I almost have to laugh at this. No, thank you, Andre. I mean, I have to, when I used to work in the brokerage industry, I used to have one guy who used to always say to me, Brian, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So you might as well laugh because it's a hell of a lot better than crying. So and especially, I mean, you all know my story, right? I got nothing to lose. I died 9 years ago. So, you might as well laugh. I mean, trust me, I've spent a lot of time crying. It's, after a certain period of time, you go, what's the point in crying anymore? So, I look at stuff like this and you just shake your head. You just laugh, right? What can you do? But really, is this great leadership? And this is what really is scary, is what I'm actually seeing, but maybe I actually got rid of it. I don't know whether I did or not. I thought I tweeted it, but maybe I didn't. What I noticed was here it is, this guy. What I feel is gee whiz, what did Brian do for fun on Saturday? He went and watched the Money Masters video again. I mean, I literally want to be able to, it's like 3.5 hour long video, and I literally want to be able to recite that video word for word from beginning to end. Because, I mean, geez, that one video is more education about how the real world works than anything you will ever learn in a high school. Ever. Anything. And it sucks because it is real. It is true. It is brutal reality. And hopefully maybe enough of us in public, like the guy in the video was like, the only way we can change this is people have to wake up and they have to say enough is enough. But the problem is that when people say enough is enough, then the bankers pull all the credit and they create a depression. And they create uncertainty and instability in the system, right? And then they can come marching back in as knights on white horses saying, here, we'll save the day. This is a really interesting conundrum that the human species has to deal with before we can really evolve and move on as a species. It has to be dealt with. How it gets dealt with, I don't know. I don't know whether my generation, my lifetime will see it get resolved. I doubt it. But you can clearly see this is the major problem in our evolution as a species. I think it's a major problem. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what's their agenda? I mean, anybody look around. What's interest rates right now? Is anybody really borrowing money? Is this a good time to be in business as a banker? Maybe not. How do we make a situation where it is a good time to be in the business of being a banker? And that's what a lot of what I see, and I wonder whether Mr. Trump is a puppet of these people, just like J.P. Morgan was a puppet, just like, there's countless people through, there was a couple stories from back in like the 18th and 19th century. Some of these guys Just shocking. The way that they bulldozed their way through the U.S. Congress there in 1913, 1914. Oh my goodness. It's remarkable. So anyway, the question you have to ask yourself, and you as sort of informed citizens, right? What might be their motivations with what I see is that there's a major wedge being literally hammered between sort of the haves and the have-nots in the United States of America right now. I really hope for our American brethren that we can sort of all try and stay together, but at some point, please ask yourself, whose purpose does this serve? Us all sort of fighting with each other. As what was it? Rodney King once said, "Can't we all just get along?" I'm not picking sides one way or the other. I haven't got a fucking clue. I'm just another person in this world just like you. I do know that if you actually detach yourself from that banking world, neither a borrower nor a lender be, a lot of the problems around all that kind of stuff kind of evaporate, which is interesting. That's one thing maybe a 50-year-old man here playing this game for a few years can maybe help you with. But like watching that video again, I have to say, the more and more I see what's going on in the world, and also too, Shane, yeah, exactly. Well, and didn't, anyway, I won't go down there. Anyway, so, think about 2020 as, people are being pushed one way or the other. Are there other motivations going on? Yeah, I really would, Cheryl. I would highly everybody, and I don't know whether I have the video link in here. I've got it in the old tweets and stuff, but I have to say, that video, and you wonder how much of this pandemic is playing into all of that as well. I don't know, but I'll tell you, man, it's really eye-opening, and I watched that today, yesterday. That was what Brian does for fun. And like I said, I want to get that video sort of drilled into my head. Now, I guess what we'll leave off with here is, like I said, Bitcoin, I don't think that the rally is technically done and we're actually in a bear yet. I think we are now going through the halvening event. And if this really is a nasty bear, then I think it probably takes a bit of time to play out and price will roll over and then we'll start talking bear scenarios again. So that's probably going to happen over like the next week or two kind of thing. We'll see how it goes. And as I've said before, what I really think is anything below, say, $5,000 or $6,000, I think is actually not a bad sort of dollar cost averaging, buying value in this space level. I just honestly don't know whether, they're actually going to let that happen. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that Bitcoin ultimately stops its down somewhere around 6,500. But we'll see. Only time will tell. Clearly respect all those that stepped in off the top and shorted, or heaven forbid you actually sold some coins that you bought down here up top at nice profits. That's what you got to do as a trader to a certain degree, so congratulations on those trades. Now, the one thing that actually really bothers me, like I said, I don't think Bitcoin's really broken down, but I'll tell you, the twins don't look good here at all. Interesting how Ethereum outperformed on the way up. I got a sneaky suspicion Ethereum's going to outperform on the way down now. You can clearly see that all we did was rally right back up into reload zones. Kind of weird, this crazy chaos levels just keep playing out. I mean, call me stupid. You can if you want, I don't care. But I've been following these 4.669 levels, and they just keep getting hit over and over and over again. I'm not calling markets. I'm not calling direction. I'm just sort of reporting to you this funny little tool that I found. If we look at this kind of consolidation in here, well, that was basically that 4.669 level. And off of this consolidation and the breakdown, well, 4.669's there. And I do find it interesting that 4.669 seems to line up with these 78.6s repeatedly. Notice, I guess that's a little bit lower, but in essence, reload short zone, reload long zone, and gee whiz. I think we saw this over here, 4.669 against Mountain Man. I mean, it's remarkable when I see the confluence. And also, too, I really do like the idea that our good old buddy Johnny Hoagland is going to be interested in Ethereum if we get down below value. Right, and this is also a really good, I don't know whether Colleen's here. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, ladies. But a really good example of maybe potentially Hoag's 80% trade here. So if we accept, and I don't know whether we're outside, that might have been this move here. But if we accept back into value, then 80% of the time we should go down and tag value low. So that sort of lines up with 4669s, lines up with 78.6s. We do have an M top there. And the question I have for this community is, what's the fundamental reason to actually be bullish here? I don't understand it. And if anything, this is another reason why I get really shitty feelings about Ethereum. Remember, Bitcoin has yet to actually put in that M top. Whoops, where'd I go? Is it this one? Yeah. In RSI. Right? RSI was just that woohoo and then fuck you to all the purple guys, right? The late guys. But that's straight up, straight down, which means to me at some point we probably have to go back up and test that high on RSI. But Ethereum, and I think Litecoin too, but we'll just do Ethereum here. Ethereum, oh Jesus, look at that, eh? Textbook. So your first W here stops the bear. Then we start making bigger W's, and there's a bunch of them here, maybe another one here. But, through 50 lines, woo, big W's, rock and roll. Then you're getting really late in this. Oh, my God, more W's coming in up top here. So think of that sort of third trend line, and then M, bulls better go on pause. And that's a pretty nasty signal. Like M is bulls, you better cool your jets. And now, second M, and that's through 50 line, that's a really big sell signal. Remember we said if you get this yellow trend line through that 50 line, that is a very, very strong signal. So, like I said before, this Ethereum, oh boy, it looks dangerous, bro, folks. And, if we just do, like I just showed you there a second ago, this would be sort of like aggressive objectives. If I was thinking about being short off of M's and inside bars and all that kind of stuff, this sort of very basic, simple technical analysis tool that we should all be using for profit objectives is the 50% rule. Oh, and gee whiz, look at that. So there's a nice existing downtrend line that's probably going to come in here, and that's basically right into that Muwak there. So had you hunted shorts off top here, shorting against there, I like the idea of taking profits on those shorts, probably into that low right there. And those previous highs. And then, kind of like Bitcoin's probably going to do something like that. And then your ultimate capitulation, something like that. So anyway, shake it. Not a fan of Ethereum now. She topped. So altcoins, I think, like I said, we've had our seasonal rally window. We were able to get off doubles on, some stocks, which are really nice. I did get punished by a couple others. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's our rebonds. Way to go, Mr. Draper. We love you much. Not! But, got off a nice double on Marathon, doubles on HUD, so I'm feeling okay about that. All right, so there's your market commentary. All right, so it is 11:30. What do you think, Kevin? Is Kevin, are you still here? Or did you fall asleep?
I'm here.
Hey, there he is. So Kevin
is
my co-host here, sort of really the director, producer of the Daily Brief recap. He is essential to me. I couldn't do all of this without him. So great to have you on the call. And I asked if he'd like to help me out here today with the spin. What did we decide? Are we going to share your screen and you spin, or am I going to reload the wheel and I'll spin?
Well, I just posted a link to the wheel in the chat room if you want to just...
Okay.
It might be easier for you to just do it.
All right. So that is on this Hangout. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, in the Hangout.
All right, so we will press this button and let's see what comes up here. Whoa, look at all those people. So we'll go full screen. So thank you everybody for putting your name down. Totally awesome. Good luck to everybody. As you can see, we have no bias here whatsoever. If anything, we had to find a wheel that was big enough to keep all of your names. The old wheels that we used to use, I think they top out at like 50 or 60 names. So what we'll do is we'll put a comment, of course, in the the comments field on this video, basically writing down who won. I will say this is for this upcoming term that starts this week there, Jonas. So we were debating. There were one or two people that actually put their name down multiple times. So I don't know. Should we take those people's names out? Just kidding. Really would like, I guess that just shows your enthusiasm, and Kevin put up with it, so it's all good. Thank you, Kevin, for your patience and understanding. Before we actually do spin, we probably should show you what this good person is actually going to win here, if they do win today. Let's see. Where do I have that? I think I have it over here. So this is the school program that you are getting yourself into. In essence, what we really want you to do is we want you to leave this education program with an understanding of what trading plans are, why it's critical that you have your trading plan, why you must have both a strategic vision, why you're doing all of this, and what it is you actually want to get out of all of this, and then a tactical portion of your plan. How are you going to actually do it? It's a program designed to give you an overview of the capital markets. Obviously, each and every topic that we cover, you could easily do master's work, doctoral dissertations on any of the topics that we cover. But what we really want to try and do is just give you that overall framework of how the capitalist system works. So we look at things like the money system, cash, lots of talks about the money masters. We try to introduce the idea of what a bond is and fixed income investing. We introduce students to various different ways to analyze stock or equity investments from the growth all the way to the value perspective. And of course, we cover commodities and how supply and demand functions work in the commodity sector. And of course, a big part of that conversation for our community is centered around crypto. And what role does it play within the entire sort of capitalist system? And as I used to always say, hint, 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 it's probably a question on the final exam. We have a final exam that we require all students to pass, and actually you must get an A on the exam to actually get a passing grade. I want you to leave this program understanding this material. We do make it open book because it is a very long exam and it covers the entire course material, but nonetheless, the point here is if you do decide to take this program, you are going to work. This isn't fluff. This is hard work. Obviously, a lot of people that come to trading, they load up sites like TradingView and they look at price charts and they think that actually that's the big part about trading. And ironically enough, actually the price chart, that's the last thing that's important about trading. Well, ironically enough, it's all that ancillary stuff. How are you going to act? When are you going to act? Why are you going to act? What kind of money are you going to use? What exchange are you going to trade on? What are you going to do when things go wrong, right? Those are the kind of things. That's the hard part of trading. But with the idea that, people are here for the candy, right? We do spend half of this level 1 program teaching you a lot of technical tools that you can use on sites like TradingView, looking at price charts, for example. But we also teach a lot of tools that you can use in the stock market that really aren't available on TradingView. on how to build what we call setups. And really, frankly speaking, if you want to be a professional at trading, you are going to risk your hard-earned money in the marketplace, you must trade setups. It's a kind of a funny word, and I remember when I first was introduced to that concept, I was like, no, I don't like that, I don't like that. But actually, the irony of it all is that you come around full circle and you realize that you should never take a trade without how many reasons? Let's see if anybody even on YouTube knows what the magic number is. How many? Thank you, Cheryl. That's good that you got that here in the lounge. On YouTube, how many reasons should you have if you're ever thinking about risking your hard-earned money? Well, so that's this kind of thinking. Should they all be the same type of signal? Hey, I've got RSI, MACD, and stochastics all giving me a buy signal. I don't know. Are you sure that's maybe just not one signal? So these are the kind of things that we teach you in this part 2 of the program of how can we pull tools available on sites like TradingView together to help us build out those 3 reasons to justify us acting. And the great part about technical analysis is you can find tools that speak to 3 very different ways to look at the market, i.e. location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go. And that, of course, is what we like to call setups. So, in fact, this level 1 program, we'd like for you to leave knowing one trade setup that I've used now for, 30 plus years that I know works very well in ranging market states. And one setup that I've used now for easily about 15 years that works very well in trending market states. And they're very simple. I'm a simple guy. I don't like to overthink things. So I think that they set our students up with very applicable tools to get out there and run their small business of trading. That's really what this program, this level 1 program, is all about. So with that said, before we actually do the draw as well, we just wanted to mention that you can pop onto the rationalinvestor.com membership page here, and we do have a 7-day free trial on the site. And TRI higher-ups have asked me to just remind the YouTube audience that you can come on the site and just kick the tires and talk to the people in the lounge and watch the daily briefs and see some of my trades that I've been doing recently for 7 days. And if you like the environment, hey, stick around. If it's not for you, we won't be insulted. So, I'll also, and I don't know whether the comments actually works while I do this, but I will post these 2 links in the comment field just for your reference. So that's basically a site membership and the school program. Just if you'd like to learn a little bit more about what this contest winner has won and what we do here at TRI in our education program, I've posted those links there. So, with that said, are we ready to do this thing? Do we have a drum roll? If I play a YouTube video drum roll, will they crash the video? Sometimes they do. All right, so as you can see, there's quite a few people. Kevin, can you come on and do a drum roll just in the background?
All right, ready? I'll do my best.
All right, here we go.
I don't even know. How do I do it? Do I have to do it vocally? A vocal drum roll?
Any way you want. Give me... There you go. And... the winner is... Oh! Dina! Who the heck is that? Dina? You won! Woohoo! Give me an Albuquerque yoo-hoo, Kevin. No? Woohoo! There you go. Now that was the RSI blow off top yoo-hoo. I know that yoo-hoo. Anyway, congratulations, Dina. I hope you're watching. We'll in fact, here, why don't we'll just do I don't know whether we should do a screenshot or I'll just type in the lounge, but anyway, congratulations. way to go. Get in touch with us. You got a lot of work ahead of you. Careful what you wish for. You might not wish you didn't go down this rabbit hole. But if Dina is here, or if anybody knows who Dina is, please let them know, and we'll post that in the comments. So congratulations! Way to go! Awesome! Well, that was a lot of fun. Sure hope you all enjoyed that. Kind of a odd tangent to our day. Okay, well, on that note, I think we probably said our piece here today. You know, PMA for the win, everybody. Fully understand. You know, nothing ever moves in a straight line. We've had a really nice uppie here. Maybe we need to just cool our jets a little bit, let all this stuff clean up. As I had said earlier, we do have M's now working quite well defined on things like Litecoin and Ethereum. So probably the alts are going to have to cool their jets a little bit. And of course, we've got the halvening event now here, so let's watch how price acts over the next month or so and see what direction we go following this fundamental event. Okay, everyone, Dina, I will want to talk to you shortly. Other than that, you guys all have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. If you were so motivated by our presentation that you're like, what the heck, I'd love to come and join the gang, feel free to consider that 7-day trial. And, you know, by all means, if you'd still like to join the school program, I'm sure we could probably sneak in if you just asked us nice, eh? All right, everybody, have yourselves a great day. All the best. PMA for the win. And bye for now.